in order to become someone that lives on the edge, it's like you have to say, I'm letting go of the system's expectation of me, which is terrifying. It is the single most awakening moment of a human's life if they choose to do that. And whatever that is, if you go from what the system expects you to do to what your soul expects you to do, that moment in a human's life is probably the most profound choice they will make. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy. It's going to bring up fear. And that's okay. It's meant to.
Right.
Because nothing without great importance has, it has a risk factor. Is that, but what about my next paycheck? What about this? What about people's judgments of me? What about all of those fears? You have to face them one by one.
Hi, I am Ravi Tangri, and welcome to SOULgineering, your life and your work. And this is about where we find those tiny little pressure points that can help you transform, elevate all of your life, your work, your community, your family, everything, to bring more heart, more soul, more presence into everything that you do. And I am absolutely delighted to have a dear friend and fellow salsa dancer, professional actor, singer, speaker, and founder of the Sacred Feminine Learning Lodge, Andrea Menard, with me today. Hello, Andrea. Welcome.
Tanchi. Hello, Ravi. I'm honored to be here in your space. Hello, everyone. Tanchi Kiawao. Andrea Menard Dishnekashon. My name is Andrea Menard. I am a Métis woman from Treaty 1 territory in the homeland of the Métis. I'm currently living in the unceded traditional territory of the Musqueam, the Tsleil-Waututh, and the Squamish peoples, which is also known as Vancouver. And I am member of the Métis Nation of British Columbia. I'm very honored to be here. Hi. And I know you're in Mi'kmaq territory right now. So hello.
Thank you.
Okay.
So we're covering the country, the continent.
Yeah. So we just kind of, it helps to just ground us where we are,
Thank you so much for that. And so, in that, because your journey started in the center of the continent and you moved to the West and such, what was it in your journey that did call you into the performing arts, into acting, into singing, into expressing yourself that way? What was it in you that drew you into that?
Well, I have to say I was probably a reluctant performer. I think I didn't know I was a creative being. My whole family was creative, but my dad was the king of the kitchen party and never really went after that as a career because that was just who he was. So I didn't know it was something that you went after as a career. Métis folks were like, whatever, you have to work, So I didn't realize I was a creative person, and the industries themselves were very daunting to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to say I was gifted in the artistic, I guess, ways of being. Like I could sing and I tended to be able to act without me knowing I could act, but I was a good storyteller and expressive. And I have to say that I was daunted by the industries themselves. I thought, oh no, I don't know. So I was called to be who I am, but it took me a long time to actually give myself permission to follow the actual life of an artist, of a performer. And I thought I would be in danger, like I do not think those are healthy. The industries are not, the industry themselves without, cause in a way, the industries can exist almost without the arts. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like they are industry, and I thought they could devour me. And so I had all these resistances. I was called because I'm an artist. My artist heart calls me and will always call me to create, to express. That's who I came here to be. But without being led by people who had gone there before me, I didn't have a lot of people who'd done that. I didn't recognize that you could be who you are within the industries or kind of dance around the industries like I am now. But back then I had to shield myself and get strong and go, okay, I'm going into the industries. And it was like the woman I am now was already sort of beginning to show itself or show herself. And I gave over my career very, very early. Like I had a little fight with the grandmothers, as I call my spirit helpers from the spirit realm, or creator, or whoever you want to say in the invisible realms. I had a big old fight saying, okay, if I'm going to be in this industry, if I'm going to do this, then you have to help me. You have to make sure that whatever comes through me, if I write or if I, write songs, or it has to matter in this world, already giving over my career to something higher. And that sort of put me on a trajectory to use my voice, use my talents of service to humanity.
Okay.
And I was 25, I had no idea really what I was doing, but so I was called to do what I do. Like I'm here to bring my gifts to the world because that's what we're all supposed to do. But in order to do it in a way that was safe for me and of service.
So that brings two questions to my mind.
Okay.
One is, there are others who feel that artistic call, but they don't. They're afraid to follow it. So they go practical. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. What was it that enabled you to get over that hump, to say, okay, I am going to follow this call, to surrender to this call, even if it doesn't seem practical, even if it's into this industry that may be heavy and difficult? What enabled you to get over that?
Right? Yeah. Or uncertain, right? It's the uncertainty that gets most people. Well, I'll tell you, I have to say, so I was in university to become a teacher because that was back then it was the most creative thing I could think of. Oh, I could teach drama. I had no idea that, the film or TV or music, they existed. And so I have to say that when I chose to not become a teacher and to become an actor and a singer, I probably was one of the most terrifying moments of my life. So it's not be an easy decision for someone who is saying, should I, shouldn't I? I have a feeling that the arts in themselves, whether people think that or not, they're sort of on the edge. They live on the edge of society. They're a little bit ahead of society, sort of showing society itself through the eyes of arts. That's what the arts are sort of made for. So in order to become someone that lives on the edge, it's like you have to say, I'm letting go of the system's expectation of me, which is terrifying. It is the single most awakening moment of a human's life if they choose to do that. And whatever that is, if you go from what the system expects you to do to what your soul expects you to do, that moment in a human's life is probably the most profound choice they will make. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy. It's going to bring up fear. And that's okay. It's meant to.
Right.
Because nothing without great importance has, it has a risk factor. Is that, but what about my next paycheck? What about this? What about people's judgments of me? What about all of those fears? You have to face them one by one. Okay, what if you don't have a paycheck every month, every 2 weeks? What if you don't have one every 3 months? What happens? You have to face it. So it's not an easy decision, but it's the most important one. If you want to be free to live the life you came here to live, and I believe every single person on this planet came here to live a life that their soul dictates for them. They came in with a knowing of who they came to be.
Right.
Even if it's a little shadowed, even if it's a little, I don't know what I'm here to be. And some people, it's very simple. I'm here to be a father, or I'm here. That's okay too. So maybe it wasn't that difficult, but when it comes to life, work, career, the system tends to want workers that obey,
Right.
right? They obey the system, because then it's self-perpetuating. Then nobody, then everything just goes on as it was created to be. But when someone decides to listen to their own spirit, their own soul calling, then they become free of.
So with that, to come through that fear,
Mhm.
for you, I know each person's got to find that path. What helped you cross through that fear?
Oh, well, I have to say, it was an existential crisis. The feeling of not doing it felt way worse than the fear of moving into the unknown. I was 19 years old. I had my first existential crisis, and it was awful. I had a job I was in for 2 years that had no creative outlet. And I felt, the first 9 months, you're kind of like figuring it out and learning, and the people are exciting and the job is kind of exciting. And then it became same old, same old. And I was driving home one day and I had the most stark despair in my heart. In my whole body, I felt this despair. And I knew that this feeling was way worse than the fear. It was way worse. And a friend of mine at that exact moment, and maybe this is, I'll say to those of you who are on the precipice of choosing your own, path, is that a friend of mine said, I have a magic wand, the beautiful magic wand, right? I had a magic wand. You will end this job, or you will not graduate high school. You will not graduate from your teaching degree. With this magic wand, I say that'll never happen. And how do you feel? And I went, relief. And I started crying, and she went, oh, well, then why are you doing it? And it was a question that went, well, I'm supposed to, aren't I?
Wow.
And instead of like, no, you're not supposed to. You can do whatever you want. Like, it's somebody giving you permission to not follow the rules and to obey. Well, I'm supposed to finish school. I'm supposed to get this and pay off my student loans, and I'm supposed to do that. No, as soon as somebody gave me the option of not doing that, everything changed and my despair left.
Wow. That
Yeah.
is powerful. So I'm curious if going into what, for lack of a better word, might be described as an sometimes unwelcoming industry. If the self-care that you did, the work that you did to sustain and nourish yourself is part of what led you down the road to move into the wellness industry as well.
Mm. At 25, when I gave over my career, I meant it. In every cell of my body, I said, I am not doing this unless I get help. I will not survive this world. It's too volatile inside of me and outside. There's too much not enoughness. So I'm not pretty enough. I'm not this enough. I'm not country enough. I'm not, my music is too me, whatever, I'm not Indigenous enough. I'm not white enough. Like there was just not enough. And so I meant it when I said, I need help. And so I trusted that whatever was put in my path was meant for me, is that it was actually listening to what I said, and it would put me into the places I needed to be, where I was a being of service, and that I was meant to be, and that it would matter. And I found myself in a lot of Indigenous productions, theater productions. I found a co-writer, my soul brother, Robert Walsh, that I worked with. There was just so many places that I was brought to, or was brought to me, that I completely trusted. So that developed a deep relationship with the unseen world, a deep relationship with spirit. That I guess I thought other people did that. I thought that was normal, because for me it was survival. It was survival. And as the years went on, and as I peeled away layers of, I don't know, false identity or lack of love for myself, because trust me, I had a deep, deep, deep self-esteem issues. I did not know my worth at all. Even though I could have awards or I could be nominated for this, I still didn't feel worthy of any of it, which is why giving over my career I could just go, well, it's for someone else. It's for because spirit said so, right? I didn't have to focus on me too much. So as the years went on, this deep relationship getting deeper and deeper and even more satisfying and more fulfilling. In fact, it becomes so fulfilling that everything else extraneous to it just felt not as fulfilling. And so at 50, a few years ago, I actually gave my career over again. And it was in the middle of COVID. And I realized that a part of me wanted to really come out of the spiritual closet. Yes, most people knew me. If you heard my songs, you got the taste of my spiritual connection. But it wasn't until COVID when I really mass community of people struggling and needing help and I was built for this. I'd been doing the work. So all of a sudden my private spiritual offerings, I finally decided to come and be public about it. So I started doing ceremonies online. I started helping people. I started creating courses, and that took a while, so it was always a part of me, but me moving into the public realm and helping others was where the change happened. So at 50, when I gave away my career this time, cause I don't, and to go back to your question, I was always speaking along the way, but sometimes I wouldn't have one message or I wouldn't have something
Right.
that a professional speaker knows how to do. I just spoke something new every time, but it was always about our own worth and our path as a spirit person somehow. So at 50 or during COVID, I went, okay, Creator, I feel like I'm supposed to be speaking and teaching more, and the acting and singing seem to be on the back burner. Well, because it's COVID and my guitarist lives in Edmonton and we're not in the same bubble, and maybe that's not who I am. That's who I'm not here to be anymore. So, you know what? I don't know what the highest version of my contribution is. So please just use me. At this point, I don't know. I give up. I surrender to what you, Creator, grandmothers, you see the higher version of me. I can't see it right now in this world of change. So you be my eyes and share and take me where I need to be. Just help me. I surrender. And whoa, giving away your career at 50 and giving your career at 25 are totally different things. I know what it means to be of service now, because when you're a kid, you think you know what it is. But at 50, you start to understand what that means. And so I got out of the way and cut to the next scene. I'm doing more singing and more acting. And I'm like, what? Oh, more speaking and more teaching. It's like the medicine wheel of who I am went like this: acting, singing, writing, teaching, acting, singing, writing, speaking, teaching. I went, oh, okay. So yeah, be careful what you wish for.
And along the way, also, you've put out your own oracle cards, the seeds from the sacred feminine. You have, you do your monthly new moon ceremony online, which is so beautiful and so healing and free, such a generous gift to anyone. We will share information on that. I'm curious, why are your oracle cards called seeds from the sacred feminine and not seeds from indigenous wisdom?
Oh, it's a good question. For many years, I was hearing different prophecies, teachings, messages when people come out of fasts, came out of ceremonies. And I don't know why. I thought everyone was hearing them, but I was specifically hearing them. People would share teachings with me or experiences they'd had. And the one thing that came is that, I just was told that women are going to be leading the next era, or it's the time of returning to the circle, or in a while later, I heard it's the rise of the sacred feminine from a Indigenous elder called who's the late Elder Dave Cushane from the Turtle Lodge in Saginaw First Nation. And when I heard the rise of the sacred feminine, it's like, you know, my head exploded because I got it. I understood what that meant. And so I realized in that moment that I am a facilitator of the rise of the sacred feminine. And that doesn't mean female. That doesn't mean the rise of female.
Right.
It can be the rise of woman, but it's also the rise of the feminine. All things feminine in this world need our value, because all things masculine have been raised above things feminine.
Right.
And so I'm here to help bring value to that which has been devalued. And I mean, our emotions have been devalued. The nurturing men have been devalued. You know, the earth has been devalued. The nurturing, the collaborative, soft nature has been devalued as weak. And so I'm here to help raise that up to be honored, to be embraced, because we're out of balance for that reason. So if I were to name my cards the seeds from the indigenous knowledge, a lot of people would say, well, that's not me.
Right.
But in the seeds from the sacred feminine, that every single human being has a feminine nature and a masculine nature. And it just so happens that in this world, in this society, the masculine natures have been encouraged. They have been, they're encouraged to, and we overwork them, we overdo it, and we don't balance our masculine natures with the nurturing, slowing down effect of the feminine nature.
Right.
And so every single person, all aspects of life have a feminine and masculine. And so I'm just trying to encourage people to connect with the ultimate source of the feminine, which is the earth and the waters, and to get to know those parts of ourselves that need nurturing, need valuing.
And I think it's so important what you said. This is not just for women. This is for men as well. We all have in a feminine and a masculine elements.
Yep.
And I think that things are so out of balance that it's even, we're out of touch. Would you agree with even our sacred masculines? It's much more a base masculine that's out as opposed to the sacred masculine. If we're going to revitalize that sacred masculine, we need that sacred feminine to nurture it out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, they both have their high and low versions, but I'm just, even in just value sakes, the sacred masculine traits are just more values than the sacred feminine. So you're right. Yes, there's definitely lower and higher versions of both, but even in a just straight up value, masculine qualities just seem to be held in higher esteem.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay.
But I love that you know the subtleties of both. Yeah.
And can you, just for our listeners, really make the bridge to the importance of the sacred feminine to a collective wellness?
Human beings, we are a sensitive lot. We really are. And how we treat the earth is usually how we treat ourselves, and we're not treating the earth very kindly. In order for us to find wellness, I call it decolonizing our wellness.
Okay.
Because the colonial structures have dictated why we value the masculine nature more. The doing, the conquering, the logic, the analysis, the structures, those are all incredibly beautiful and they're needed. However, when they vilify the unseen world, or vilify the mystery, or the unknown, or the intuitive, then we get into danger. Then we get into danger zone. And so in order for humanity to find its balance, to get back into balance, we need to get back into balance with nature. And in order to do that, we need to slow down. we need to listen more, and we need to listen so that our minds slow down enough to actually hear wisdom from the invisible realm.
Right.
To me, that's why Indigenous people have such a deep understanding of ceremony first, and then the event, or then the structure, and then the policy, and then the stuff. Ceremony first, listen first, prayer first, to receive wisdom that then gets disseminated. But as one of my elders says, oh, those Western folks are the backwards people. It's like they do everything backwards. They go policy first, and then oops, and then consequence of that, and then oops, we didn't think about that. Oh, that dam killed off that species. Oh, oops. There's this cleaning up after all the decisions being made, instead of listening first, calling those species, calling the waters, calling the land, calling all the people involved into ceremony with you, and then listening to see what comes of that. And then the decisions get made. And then watch, we would have so much more, peace if we actually did that as governments, as communities, as organizations.
That's the difference that I talk about between wise action and action. And in organizations, it's about bringing all the voices to the table to hear each other before you find the way through.
Yes.
So in your work, and I know you do this in your new moon ceremony as well, you work with the 4 sacred bodies and the 4 sacred elements. Can you explain why those are so important, how people can start to explore that?
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely not unique to me. The medicine wheel is a very important symbol in Indigenous ways of being. And it's not a pan-Indigenous symbol, but it's a very useful symbol for Indigenous people, because it's a circle with 4 equal quadrants. And Indigenous people just, because other traditions have 5 sacred bodies or 7 sacred bodies, or, so it's our way of looking at the world. And it's very, very useful, because a circle is holistic in itself with 4 equal quadrants, which means nothing is more important than the other. Each part has equidistant and equal value. I'm all about equal value, right? So 4 parts with equal value. And from what I was taught, that the 4 sacred directions are very important in ceremony. The keepers of the 4 directions play a part in our ceremonies. The 4 sacred bodies are, how I see it, are all part of who we are. And there's only parts of us that we're conscious of. So the more we get to know the 4 sacred bodies, the more holistic we can be. There's the 4 sacred medicines, according to the Plains people, which is cedar, sweetgrass, sage, and tobacco. There's the 4 sacred animals. It just goes on and on and on. It's very useful. And so for me, using it, it's just, it came very natural. And in a way, it came because the grandmothers sort of told me to. My invisible helpers. I was having trouble in my emotional body. I was struggling a lot, and, crying and being thrown around by emotions. And I finally was, raging and going, that's enough. Okay, let me get to know this emotional body. Let's get a hold of it, trying to control it. Ha 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 ha. And of course, the grandmother said, yeah, we're going to, if you want to get to know one of the 4 sacred bodies, you need to get to know all of them. And I'm like, what? How do I do that? I had no idea until I got quiet and I started listening and asking my own being how to, who are you? What is it I need to learn from you? And weirdly enough, and surprisingly, they all spoke to me. They all shared with me a sacred law of what and who they were in my life, and who they were probably to others as well.
And so to me, what you're describing in some ways, it's not just your emotional body was going, ah, but you were trying to control things with your mental body as well to try to figure it out. And as I say, analyze things. And,
Probably, yes.
and yet there's wisdom in the physical body and the energetic or spiritual body that we don't hear if our brain is going nonstop and trying to control it all, right?
Yeah. 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 Or if our emotions are going so so overwhelmed that we can't hear anything. So it was just good to get to know all of them and to slow it all down and to learn to express my emotions so that the mind words could be clear because the emotions were so loud that I didn't know
Right,
what was going on. And so to learn what each one of the bodies needs
right.
was the key.
As opposed to it all being one mess.
Yeah, which it was, and sometimes
Yes.
still is.
So one thing that you do in your monthly new moon circle is you guide people through this. I love how, some people say, oh, how can you do things online? It's just not, but you hold space in such a beautiful way for that circle. And it is such an incredible experience in the healing journey at a beautiful time at the new moon where all these new possibilities are starting to open up. So people can sign up and join for free any time, right? At andreamenard.com/new moon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They have to sign up so they can get the link. That's all. Yeah.
Yeah. And I will put that link in the description. And really that's going to be 2.5 to 3 hours. You really need to this is an investment in you to be there, not popping in and out, right?
Yeah. Well, it's a really intimate space
Mm-hmm.
and I think once you enter, it's like you really are making a commitment to your own inner worlds in the space, in the presence of others. So it's a sacred time. So yeah.
Yeah.
It invites all of you into the circle.
Yeah. And I am so grateful for it. And even though, as you say each time, it's a very simple process, you do the same process, it is different every month because we are different in coming into that.
I heard that way. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm so honored you come. I'm so honored that you
Thank you.
join us, Ravi.
It is my pleasure.
Check it out, check it out. Oh, are you ready for this?
So now it is time for the lightning round.
Ooh.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah, I think so.
So no thinking, just the first thing that pops to mind. Okay.
First question. Like, are they one word answers or just quick answers?
Whatever is quick answer.
Okay.
Quick.
Okay.
Okay. Introvert or extrovert?
Introvert.
Okay. What's the most favorite job you've ever had?
My life now. I love all of it. Acting, singing, writing, speaking, depending on the gig.
All of it.
All of
I love
it.
it. What's
I'm a medicine wheel. What can I say?
I love that. What's the goofiest thing you've ever done?
Oh, Lord. Goofiest thing I've ever done. Goofiest thing I've ever done. Well, I just recently did a funny video on menopause.
Okay.
That was way out of character for me, but very true for who I am right now. So yeah, that was goofy.
Okay. What's the best compliment you've ever received?
Oh my. That a song or a show or one of my characters changed somebody's life. Because it's none of my business how I am perceived. Honestly, it's really, I hope that's my prayer that what I do matters. But when someone literally says, your song made me forgive my father, or I went to my first ceremony and I got sober, whatever, like
Yeah.
whatever, something changed someone's life. That's the best compliment ever.
Okay. And the one thing about that, when you say about your performance, this is the compliment I can give you is that when I see you in film or TV, I do not see Andrea. I see that
Oh,
character.
oh, Yay,
right?
thank you. I'll take that.
I love how you bring that different presence into it. Okay. What is your biggest failure and what did you learn from it?
Oh, man. I went through a period in my life when I had all of my loved ones who were all 10 years and older than me. And it was like a wall of people all turned their back on me. And I had it was the most devastating time of my life. And I didn't know why. And I knew I had some part in this, because I could have milked that as a victim forever. But instead I went, all of them?
Mm-hmm.
What am I trying? What am I needing to learn from this? So that was a failure, but it turned to be one of the most profound learning experiences of my life.
Very
Painful.
cool.
Woo,
Yeah,
painful though.
but that takes courage. I understand.
Yeah. Oof.
And I think we've touched on this, but as a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, I don't think I knew what I could be.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know I was allowed to be who I am.
Yeah.
So, like I said, probably, no, I had no idea. My mom was a nurse, and there were tons of nurses in my family. Like all my mom's sisters, all my mom's nieces became nurses. I didn't want to be a nurse, but nursing
Mm-hmm.
and it's that traditional roles that women played. I didn't know.
Right.
I had a lot of options. So
Okay.
I don't know if I wanted to be any of them. So I sort of just was a blank slate.
Okay.
In
So
the
you were
meantime,
surrendering then.
yes, but in the meantime, not choosing to be anything while I'm making skits and taping myself singing and doing dance skits for the neighborhood. So really, you didn't know who you'd be?
Right. So I'm curious about this because this is so important to you, but what's your most important ritual?
Oh. Well, I have to say that I tend to be somebody that feels a lot. I go through periods of intense pain, and my most important ritual is sitting with it, moving through it, loving it, transmuting it, and moving to the other side into joy and acceptance and integration. And I do that quite often, and it can be annoying. But I've recognized that that's part of the gift I have in this world. I'm a deep expresser, but that expression allows me to be very, very truthful in the world, very, very open and clear and honest in the world, because I've been through some dark, dark, dark nights. And so my most important ritual is actually facing each one of those dark nights over and over and over and over and over. And who knows if they'll ever end? None of my business. The
Yeah.
ritual is to just sit with it and integrate it.
To me, that's another aspect of surrender, that you're not in it, but you're being present with it.
Oh, I'm in it.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
in it until I'm not.
Okay.
I guess that's it. But
Good.
you're right. Exactly. Surrendering to actually literally fall into the heart of it.
But not bearing it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the surrender, I think. You're on the nose there. Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Who do you admire?
I admire truth tellers with compassion. The truth tellers in the world, because I used to have people, but now I admire so many people. I admire you doing this podcast. I admire people who walk into their deepest fears and deepest pain and pass through it and find more compassion and more love on the other side. Those people are my favorite humans.
Okay.
They're so brave. They're so brave.
Beautiful. How do you nourish yourself?
I spend a lot of time alone. I spend time moving, so dancing, as you know, you're my dancing buddy, walking in the natural settings,
Mhm.
ceremony, reading, meditating. Yeah.
Okay.
And spending quality gatherings. I tend to be invited and calling in little gatherings of people, of like-hearted, like-spirited, kindred souls that we come to be of service to each other. So coming together in little gatherings.
Nice. We'll have to have one this summer.
Mhm.
And what do you want to be remembered for?
My integrity
Okay.
of having
And
walked my talk.
very cool. And what's your purpose in life?
To help others awaken to who they are, to who they really are, to help people remember that they are sparks of creation, that they are way more powerful than they know, and that most of us have forgotten. So I'm here to help remind people who they really are and to recognize that they are way more powerful and beautiful than they realize.
So beautiful. Thank you, Andrea, so much for joining me. This is absolutely delightful. Please make sure that you can find Andrea, you can find her albums. Just you can see her on TV right now, Sullivan's Crossing. You can see her in film, the recently nominated for Leo Award for The Great Salish Heist, which is a hilarious. It's available on some of the streaming platforms, and of course her monthly New Moon Circle every new moon at andreamenard.com/new moon. Thank you so much, Andrea, for joining me. This has been an utter delight.
I admire you so much, and I'm so grateful for your beautiful presence. Thank you for inviting me.
And we will see you next week, folks. This has been SOULgineering, your life and work.
I got the energy, it's all I need to finish. And everyone that knows me knows that I can do this. Yeah, I know that I can